In the cold heart of the Galactic Council's observation chamber, alien delegates witness humanity's defiant retaliation for their exile. The Council's composed facade fractures as Earth's hidden fleets strike with ruthless precision, shattering assumptions about the primitive Deathworld. A human commander's cold promise echoes through the void, signaling a cataclysmic power shift. The Galactic Council's chamber was an immense dome of polished obsidian, pierced by columns of pale violet light. At its center hovered the orb of surveillance, a flawless sphere humming with the dark energy of billions of data streams, all directed toward a single forbidden world, Earth. Around the chamber, the Council's delegates sat motionless, their alien forms twisted in shapes that defied human understanding. Each face betrayed something deeper than the clinical poise demanded by their centuries-old protocol: fear, confusion, disbelief. "Coordinates confirmed," whispered Zale, his 6 insectoid eyes blinking rapidly. "Earth's fleet has engaged. The northern sector blockade without warning." A ripple of unease spread among the representatives. The Council was built on unshakable rules: no contact, no interference, no reprisals against banished worlds. Earth had been cast out decades ago, marked a death world, an evolutionary dead end, exiled from the Council for their brutal, chaotic expansion. Yet, here they were. Eldra, the Archon and presiding voice of the Council, raised a trembling claw. "This aggression violates every treaty. We banned Earth to contain their threat, not to invite war." The orb brightened. The scene inside was not peaceful. Fleets of sleek alien ships, silver and glassy, engineered for precision, exploded in showers of plasma and fire, but the Earth vessels were unlike anything the Council had recorded. Their hulls were jagged, scorched and blackened with scars, glowing faintly with a violet corona that flickered as if alive. EMP bursts. Their nanoweave shields are generating massive electromagnetic pulses, Zyle said, voice trembling. "Our sensors are blind. They cloak and strike without warning." The chamber darkened as the orb zoomed in on a human dreadnought, a massive warship scarred by combat, but unyielding. Inside, Commander Lena Voss sat rigid, her eyes sharp and unblinking beneath a helmet streaked with dirt and sweat. She spoke, softly, the voice cutting through the chamber's tension like ice. "They banned us, erased our colonies, declared Earth an outcast world, a death world, called us savage and weak." Her fingers moved across the ship's neural interface. "Let them see what savage truly means." The countdown began. A faint, ominous hum filled the chamber. 12, 11, 10. On the orb, Earth's ships launched waves of plasma torpedoes and swarms of nanotech drones. These drones emitted piercing bursts of energy, disabling enemy weaponry and electronics instantly. "Look at their tactics." "They sacrifice their own to disable ours," Kral from Zephon shouted, his many limbs twitching in disbelief. "They're suicidal," Eldra gasped. "No civilized species would endure such losses, yet they persist." The countdown reached 0. A blinding flash lit the feed as Earth's fleet unleashed a final devastating barrage. The orb went dark. The chamber plunged into silence, broken only by the crackling of emergency transmissions. Suddenly, the Council's communications were flooded with a single message, cold, chilling, unyielding. "Earth is no longer your prisoner. We are the hunters now." The words echoed in every mind, a thunderous promise that shattered the fragile order the Council had built. Delegates screamed, some collapsed, others gripped their weapons, but no one dared move against the humans. The death world had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. Human fleets, scarred but victorious, retreat into Earth's shadow as Council forces reel from unexpected losses. A scientist aboard Earth's orbital station reflects on the galaxy's fatal underestimation. of humanity and reveals the desperate innovations behind their hidden tech. Silence hangs heavy as the seeds of an unrelenting war take root. Orbital Station Atlas hung above Earth's smoky clouds, a metallic sentinel gazing down at a scarred, war-worn planet. Inside its labyrinthine halls, Dr. Amir Kadim adjusted a series of nanoscopic analyzers, watching the data stream across the holopanel. "Unbelievable," he muttered. "They thought Earth was a primitive rock, a Deathworld doomed to extinction." His voice echoed faintly in the cramped lab, the only sound, apart from the soft hum of gravity generators and the occasional buzz of cooling systems. The recent battles replayed endlessly in his mind. Fleets of Council vessels crippled by electromagnetic pulses, their precision weapons rendered useless by nanoweave cloaks, technology born not of abundance, but of desperate survival. "They never understood what made us different," Amir said softly, fingers tracing a schematic of the plasma. "Drone swarm. Our nanotech isn't just advanced, it's adaptive, reactive. It's designed to evolve with every strike, learning from the enemy's countermeasures in real time." He paused, gazing out at the swirling blue planet below, rivers of smoke rising from scorched continents. "We turned their own arrogance into our weapon." Behind him, the station's communications panel blinked insistently. A new transmission awaited. Commander Lena Voss's voice crackled through the static. "Dr. Kadim," she said resolute, "how soon can the fleet rearm? The Council's retreat won't last." Amir ran a hand through his thinning hair. "We can field new drones within days, maybe less, but their fleets won't stop coming." Voss's voice hardened. "Then we'll keep fighting. Every inch of Earth, every star in our system is a fortress. The Council made a grave mistake, underestimating the Deathworld." The line went dead. Amir stared at the black screen, the weight of what they had unleashed pressing down on him. Outside the station's viewport, a battered Earth fleet slipped through the planet's shadow, ghosts cloaked by gravity distortions engineered on the station. Ships that barely looked seaworthy, but carried secrets no Council ship could match. Amir's eyes reflected the fragile lights of the retreating vessels. "They don't see us as humans anymore," he whispered. "Just as force, as reckoning." The silence in the lab deepened, thick with the unspoken knowledge that this was only the beginning. A stealth operation deep inside Council space reveals Earth's mastery over quantum cloaking and EMP nanotech. A young soldier's first brutal combat experience exposes the shattering morale of alien fleets. Meanwhile, Council leaders scramble to understand the tactical genius behind humanity's ruthless enigma. The void was a silent abyss, pierced only by faint pulses of distant stars and the cold glint of ships hurrying toward an unknown target. Private Jax Harrow gripped the edge of his station, heart hammering as the cloaking field enveloped their stealth cruiser, the Revenant. The ship shimmered like a mirage, bending light and scrambling sensors in a way that felt almost supernatural. "Quantum cloaking engaged," whispered Captain Mira Solon, voice calm but sharp. "We're ghosts now. Remember, no contact unless absolutely necessary." Jax swallowed hard, barely suppressing the nervous energy coursing through his veins. This was his first mission off Earth. His training had drilled the theory, but nothing prepared him for the raw, terrifying reality of war in deep space. Suddenly, the void exploded with jagged lines of light as the Revenant slipped past the first wave of Council patrols undetected. "EMP drones deployed," the communications officer announced. "They're scrambling their sensor nets, blindfolding the enemy." Jax watched in awe and horror as the alien fleet's tight formations scattered in chaos, ships veering wildly, weapons firing blindly into empty space. The Council's polished war machine unraveled with every pulse of Earth's nanotech weapons. "Look at them," muttered Captain Solon. "Years of training, shattered by fields of darkness." But the victory was not without cost. A burst of plasma hammered into the Revenant's port side. Alarms blared as the hull buckled and screamed under the strain. "Brace for impact!" Solon shouted. Jack slammed into his seat, teeth clenched. The darkness outside suddenly felt like a predator closing in. Inside the ship's neural interface, Jax caught a glimpse of Commander Voss's cold, unyielding gaze in a hollow feed. A ghost commanding the war from Earth's hidden citadel. "They never expected us," Voss said quietly, "because they saw only Deathworld's savages, not predators." Jax's thoughts raced. The Council's arrogance had been their greatest weakness. Humans were not mindless barbarians. They were relentless, adaptive, and terrifyingly clever. "Damage report," Solon barked. "Minor breach on port hull. Shields." "Holding," came the reply. Jax exhaled slowly. The mission continued. As the Revenant vanished into the shadows, Jax understood the truth behind humanity's weapon. Not just technology, but fearlessness, born from centuries of survival on a hostile planet. Back in the Council's chambers, Eldra's voice trembled with dread as reports flooded in. "How can a species so primitive outmatch our fleets?" Kral's many eyes darted nervously. "Their tactics, their willingness to sacrifice, it is madness." But Eldra saw deeper, madness born not from recklessness, but from a profound, unyielding will to survive. The war had shifted. The shadows belonged to Earth now. Earth's darkest military doctrine, the Deathworld Code, is revealed through the eyes of Commander Voss and a captured alien spy. Forged from centuries of brutal survival, it demands total sacrifice and ruthless efficiency. The Council's spies learned firsthand that humanity's primitive label hides a lethal strategy built on both cold logic and fierce loyalty. Commander Lena Voss stood before the flickering holographic map in the dim command chamber of Earth's orbital station, Atlas. Outside, the battered stars hung motionless in the void, witnesses to a war no one in the galaxy had truly expected. Her silhouette was sharp, the harsh lines of her face framed by short-cropped hair, streaked with ash and sweat. Around, her officers and scientists scurried quietly, attending to the war effort, refitting ships, coordinating strikes, analyzing enemy patterns. But all eyes always returned to her, the woman who carried the weight of a Deathworld's vengeance on her shoulders. "The Galactic Council labeled Earth a failure," Voss began, voice low but ironclad. "They called us savage, primitive. They tried to erase us, but they never understood what survival means on a planet that devours its own." She tapped the map, zooming into the blasted terrains of Earth's continents, where scorched forests and shattered cities stood as grim monuments. "We fight with everything we have. Our technology, yes, but more importantly, our will. The Deathworld Code is not just a strategy, it's a creed." A young officer raised a hand hesitantly. "Commander, explain the doctrine. The Council's spies keep asking." Voss nodded. "They want to know what makes us so dangerous." Her gaze darkened. "It's simple. Sacrifice without hesitation. Adapt without mercy. Survival above all." She turned to the room, eyes blazing. On Earth, every generation faced extinction. The land itself was an enemy. Brutal weather, deadly predators, famine and warlords. Our ancestors learned to use everything at their disposal. Guerrilla tactics, biological warfare, ruthless discipline. The hologram shifted, showing schematics of Earth's specialized weapon systems, gravity disruptors, nanotech swarms, EMP pulse emitters. We build weapons that mimic the planet itself, unpredictable, devastating, and relentless. Our ships aren't beautiful. They're battle-hardened husks, scarred like our people. Suddenly the chamber doors hissed open. 2 guards marched in, flanking a captive, an alien, slumped and weary, his pale skin marred by bruises and burns. Voss's eyes narrowed. "Bring him forward." The captive, a Zephan intelligence operative named Ryle, looked up with a flicker of defiance despite his injuries. "Commander," he rasped, You don't understand what you've started. The Council will crush you. Your Deathworld tactics will not save you. Voss stepped closer, her voice calm but deadly. You think we want to survive? No, we intend to dominate. She motioned to a nearby technician. Begin the interrogation. Extract what you can about Council movements. As the guards secured Ryle, Voss faced her officers. They underestimate us because they only see the scars and the chaos. But what they don't see is the precision underneath. The Deathworld code is survival and domination fused into one. She paused, her eyes piercing. And if that means sacrificing our own to save the species, so be it. Later, alone in her quarters, Voss stared at a worn photograph. A faded image of her home city, once vibrant, now reduced to rubble. The weight of command pressed against her chest like gravity itself. She whispered to the empty room. They think they can cage the Deathworld, but they only awaken the beast. Meanwhile, deep within the bowels of Atlas Station, Ryle sat restrained, his mind racing. The Council had sent him to infiltrate Earth's command, to glean secrets, to spy on the so-called primitive planet. But what he found was something darker and more profound. These humans, he muttered under his breath, voice cracked, they're not barbarians. They're a force of nature. Each loss hardens them. Each sacrifice strengthens them. A guard approached. Your Council will not save you, Zephan. Ryle met his gaze. No, but I will not let them underestimate Earth again. Back in the command chamber, Voss received reports of a new Council fleet assembling at the edge of Earth's system. Prepare the Deathworld defenses, she ordered. No mercy, no surrender. Her officers moved swiftly, coordinating orbital mines, gravity traps, and deploying new swarms of nanotech drones, each programmed with lethal efficiency to dismantle the invaders. We fight not just for survival, Voss said quietly, but for vengeance, for our right to exist. The Deathworld Code was not just a doctrine. It was a promise carved in fire and blood. Earth would rise from ashes or be destroyed trying, and the galaxy would remember. As the Council's reinforcements swarm into Earth's system, humanity unleashes its full fury. The first large-scale battle unfolds in brutal detail, with every moment drenched in desperation, sacrifice, and savage ingenuity. Commander Voss's ruthless leadership pushes her forces to the edge, while alien commanders confront the terrifying truth. This Deathworld fights with the fury of a cornered predator. The void trembled above the battered surface of Earth. In the black nothingness between stars, a storm was breaking. Fleet sensors blinked red as the Galactic Council's armada spilled into the system, a shining mass of silver warships, sleek and orderly, their weapons humming in synchronized menace. The Council's Grand Admiral Talar watched from the flagship Zephyrian, his many-limbed frame rigid with confidence. They are outnumbered, he intoned, voice echoing through the command deck. Primitive savages clinging to a rock. We will crush them. But he did not know what awaited. On the dark side of Earth's orbit, Commander Lena Voss stood aboard. The Nemesis, the flagship of Earth's ragtag fleet, its blackened hull pocked with scars like a battlefield veteran. The ship's interior hummed with controlled chaos, crew barking orders, engineers racing to repair systems, drone operators, preparing swarms, prepare the firestorm protocol. Voss commanded, eyes cold and unyielding. We do not have the luxury of retreat. Her voice was calm, but every word carried the weight of a planet's survival. The Deathworld fleet was smaller, damaged but deadly, its ships cloaked in quantum shadows and bristling with nanotech weapons designed for close, ruthless combat. As the Council fleet approached, gravity mines blinked silently in the void, waiting like vipers. Engage in 3, 2... The countdown whispered through the comm channels. Then chaos erupted. A sudden pulse of electromagnetic energy burst from Earth's lead ships, a wave of darkness cascading through the Council's formation. Ships lost targeting systems. Weapons went offline, and sensors blanked. Talar's command deck filled with alarms. "Countermeasures," he roared. "Bring up shields. Fire at will." But the Council ships were blind, firing into empty space. Earth's drones swarmed like locusts, tearing through hull plating with microscopic precision, cutting off communications and spreading viral nanotech that shut down systems from within. One by one, Council vessels exploded, brilliant blossoms of fire against the black void. Amid the carnage, the Nemesis surged forward, ramming a Council cruiser with bone-crushing force. The collision sent shards of metal spiraling into space. Voss's voice was steel. "Boarders deploy. Take that ship. Show them the Deathworld's fury." From the Nemesis, soldiers hurled themselves into the fray, jetting through zero-G, their armor gleaming with adaptive nanoshields. Private Jax Harrow, barely a month into the war, fought with raw, primal intensity. Around him, explosions lit. The blackness with deadly beauty, each breath a battle between fear and determination. He caught a glimpse of a Council officer, elegant, cold, and sure. But Jax didn't hesitate. His pulse rifle spat fire, and the alien crumpled. In the chaos, Jax felt a twisted exhilaration. Survival was the only truth here, and every kill a testament to the Deathworld code. Back on the Nemesis, Commander Voss watched the battlefield unfold through her neural interface, her mind a razor edge slicing through strategy and emotion. "This is no longer a war for territory," she said quietly to her second-in-command. "It's a war for our existence." The Council's Admiral Talar was forced to adapt quickly, ordering orbital lasers to focus on Earth's fleet, but gravity traps sabotaged their trajectories, sending blasts careening into empty space or the Council's own vessels. "Pull! Back!" Talar screamed, but his voice was lost beneath the growing roar of destruction. The Zephyrian shuddered as it took a direct hit from an EMP pulse, its systems flickering, dying. In those moments, the balance of power shifted. The Deathworld, once written off as weak, was tearing apart the galaxy's proud armada, but every victory came at a price. The Nemesis groaned under fire, crew members injured and lost in the melee. Voss's comm crackled. "We've lost 2 ships. Need reinforcements now." She clenched her jaw, eyes burning. "No mercy, no retreat." A voice answered from the comm. "Commander, this is Earth's Surface Command. We've launched orbital defense. Batteries, support incoming." Relief was brief. The battle was far from over. Jax, floating through the wreckage of a Council cruiser, caught sight of a child, a young alien stowaway, eyes wide with terror and confusion. His rifle lowered for a fraction of a second, heart pounding with an unfamiliar ache. But the moment passed. The war demanded sacrifice. The child's fate was sealed by the Deathworld code. As the firestorm raged, both sides tasted victory and devastation. The Galactic Council's pride was shattered. Earth's legend was born. Commander Voss turned from the viewport, voice cold and resolute. "They called us Deathworld savages," she whispered. "But we are the storm they never saw coming." The Council reels from its humiliating defeat, fracturing from within as fear and blame ignite fierce political infighting. Meanwhile, human strategists seize the momentum to deepen their hold, exploiting the enemy's fractures. A captured alien officer reveals chilling insights about humanity's unbreakable resolve, while Commander Voss faces the brutal cost of command. In the vaulted chamber of the Galactic Council, echoes of outrage and despair rippled like wildfire. Eldra paced before the assembly, her voice trembling with barely concealed fury. "This is unprecedented! The Deathworld has shattered our fleets. Their primitive tactics are dismantling centuries of our dominance." Her many eyes scanned the faces of alien delegates, each etched with shock and disbelief. Kral, the War Master, growled low. We underestimated them. We thought Earth's savagery was a weakness. We were wrong. Murmurs erupted, fingers pointed. Accusations flared. This council's leadership is compromised, hissed the emissary from Zeshra. If we continue down this path, the entire galaxy will fall to these Deathworld barbarians. A younger delegate, his skin a deep obsidian. Yi slammed his fist against the crystalline table. We need decisive action. Purge the commanders who failed. Crush the Deathworld fleets with overwhelming force. But Eldra raised a calming hand. Violence within our own ranks weakens us further. We must understand why we failed. She gestured to the holofeed, a live video of the captured council officer, Commander Ryle, restrained and bruised in an Earth facility. The chamber fell silent as Ryle's weary face flickered in the air. Commander Ryle, Eldra said, voice sharp, you witnessed firsthand humanity's tactics. Tell us, what makes these savages so formidable? Ryle's voice was hoarse but steady. They do not fight like other species. Their brutality is matched by unparalleled cunning. Every sacrifice is calculated, every retreat a trap. They possess a unity forged in relentless survival. A murmur spread through the council chamber. They are not primitive, Ryle continued, but a force of nature, adaptable, patient, and merciless when cornered. Kral's claws clenched into fists. Their Deathworld code. It is a doctrine of extinction. Eldra nodded grimly. It is clear. Earth has become a crucible that hones warriors unlike any we have faced. Meanwhile, aboard Atlas Station, Commander Voss reviewed the latest intelligence feeds. Earth's forces had gained ground, but the cost was steep. Hundreds lost, ships crippled, families shattered. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Maya Chen, approached cautiously. Commander, the Council's internal discord offers an opportunity. Their fleets lack cohesion. We can press our advantage. Voss's eyes flickered with grim resolve. Then we will. But every step forward will cost blood. The Deathworld's price is sacrifice. She turned to the viewport, watching the slow dance of Earth's battered fleet regrouping in the shadow of the planet. Why are they like this? Maya asked quietly. Voss didn't answer immediately. The question lingered, a haunting echo of humanity's brutal past and unyielding spirit. They have no choice, Voss finally said. Their world is a crucible of death and rebirth. Their survival depends on being unbreakable, and if the galaxy wants to know what that means, we will show them. Back on the surface, the city ruins of New Kadesh simmered with tension. Scientists and soldiers prepared new weapons designed to strike deeper, faster, harder. Dr. Amir Kadim monitored a new nanotech swarm prototype. This will infiltrate their ship's core systems in seconds, he explained to a squad leader. It's the edge we need. Outside, the sky roiled with charged particles, the ominous prelude to the next battle. In the quiet before the storm, Voss stood alone, the weight of command pressing down like a suffocating shroud. Her mind flashed to those lost in the firestorm. Comrades, friends, innocents, she whispered into the darkness. For every sacrifice, the Deathworld's fire grows stronger, and so do we. The Council's fractures widened, their confidence shattered like fragile glass. But humanity's resolve, born in ashes and forged in rage, was only just awakening. The war had become more than survival. It was a reckoning. As Earth's forces pushed deeper into Council space, memories of a brutal past war-haunt Commander Voss and her soldiers. Flashbacks reveal the origin of humanity's ruthless tactics, forged in desperation and sacrifice. Meanwhile, Council commanders grapple with growing fear and a deepening psychological fracture, realizing they face not just technology, but a relentless spirit born of Deathworld horrors. The cold metal walls of the Nemesis reverberated with the hum of engines and distant explosions. a constant reminder that the war was never far away. Commander Lena Voss sat alone in the dimly lit war room, her eyes closed as ghostly memories drifted through her mind. She saw the barren wastelands of Earth's last great war, a savage conflict that had shaped everything humanity had become. Cities reduced to ash, families torn apart, entire generations forged in fire. Her voice, barely a whisper, echoed through the dark. It was never just survival. It was salvation. A young soldier entered quietly, standing at attention before, speaking. "Commander, the new fleet reports are in. The Council's defenses are weakening, but they're preparing for a final push." Voss opened her eyes, cold and resolute. "We cannot falter now," she said. "Every loss weighs on us, but it also steels us." Her mind drifted back to the origins of the Deathworld Code, a doctrine born not of ambition, but of desperate necessity. Years ago, when Earth's climate had turned to hell and resources vanished, humanity faced extinction. Starvation, disease, merciless predators, and endless wars for scraps forced their ancestors into ruthless choices. Mercy was a luxury we could not afford, Voss recalled silently. Every act of kindness was a risk. Every hesitation meant death. She remembered the orders given, the sacrifices made, commanders ordering retreats to save a city, only to send battalions into traps to slow an enemy's advance. It was a cold calculus, and it had saved them. Now, that brutal logic fueled the war against the Galactic Council. Far from Earth, the Council's command vessel, Zephyrian, was a hive of tension. Grand Admiral Tylar paced his command deck, eyes flicking over damaged systems reports and tactical analyses. His officers whispered of humanity's resilience with growing dread. "They fight like ghosts," one admitted. "Invisible, unstoppable, like they are born of death itself." Tylar's many limbs clenched into fists. "We must remember, they are still mortal. Fear, fatigue, doubt, these will break them." But even as he spoke, he felt the slow corrosion of hope within his own ranks. The memories of past defeats haunted his mind, the burning wreckage of ships, the screams over comms, the sudden silence after brutal losses. The Deathworld Code was not just strategy. It was a weapon forged in pain and loss, wielded by those who had nothing left to lose, and that was what terrified him most. Back on the Nemesis, Voss gathered her senior officers for a briefing. "We're about to enter their inner system," she said, voice steady but heavy. "Our new weapon systems and tactics will give us the edge, but the cost will be high." Lieutenant Maya Chen stepped forward. "Commander, psychological readiness is critical. Our troops carry the weight of past wars on their shoulders. They must not break." Voss nodded, eyes hard. "Remind them why we fight. Remind them what this means, not just for Earth, but for every soul who calls it home." A technician interrupted, signaling an incoming encrypted transmission. Voss took the data pad, eyes narrowing as the message decrypted. It was a recording. From the captured council officer Ryle. "Earth will burn," Ryle said, voice raw with warning. "But even fire can forge legends. Remember that the Deathworld's fury is endless." The room fell silent. Voss broke the quiet with a single word: "Prepare for war." Later, as night fell over the shattered remnants of New Kadesh, Voss stood on a rooftop overlooking the horizon. The stars were distant, cold witnesses to a war that would decide the fate of worlds. She felt the ghosts of the last war stir within her, the faces of lost comrades, the screams in the dark, the bitter taste of victory earned through blood and fire, and yet she also felt something new, a fierce hope, tempered by sacrifice. "This is more than a war," she whispered to the night sky. "It is the Deathworld's promise that no matter how deep the darkness, humanity will rise." The war was far from over. The Deathworld Code would be tested in the fires to come, and in those fires legends would be born. Humanity's relentless advance forces the Council to deploy experimental weapons, but these desperate measures bring catastrophic consequences. On the front lines, soldiers grapple with the horrors of war and the fine line between survival and humanity. Meanwhile, cracks deepen within Earth's command as Commander Voss faces difficult choices that test her resolve and the soul of the Deathworld Code itself. The void around Earth's inner system churned with fire and debris, a shattered battlefield littered with wrecks and echoes of distant explosions. The Galactic Council had unleashed its secret weapon, the Vorath Pulse, a devastating gravitational weapon designed to tear apart ships and cripple entire fleets. On board, the Nemesis, alarm screamed as the ship trembled under the weapon's invisible crushing force. Lieutenant Maya Chen's hands flew over the console, desperately recalibrating shields. Vorath Pulse impact in 10 seconds. Brace for structural damage. Commander Voss tightened her grip on the command rail, teeth clenched. Hold formation. Disperse energy to auxiliary fields. We survive, or we die trying. Outside, the darkness exploded with violent flashes as ships twisted under the crushing weight of the pulse. Private Jax Harrow, manning a turret, felt the world tilt. His vessel shuddered violently. "This is no drill!" he shouted, firing blindly into the maelstrom. The Deathworld fleet fractured, some ships lost to the pulse's fury, others scrambling to stabilize. "Damage report," Voss demanded. "Multiple hull breaches on the Sable Hawk and Ironclad," Chen replied. "We're losing ships faster than we can replace them." Voss's eyes burned with fierce determination. "We knew this war would cost blood. Push forward. The pulse is powerful but not unstoppable." She turned to her tactical officer, a veteran named Greer. "Deploy nanite swarms. Target the weapons. Generators. We hit fast, hit hard and disrupt their control." Greer nodded, fingers dancing over controls. "Swarms launched. They're infiltrating at subspace frequency." Suddenly, the Nemesis jolted, systems flickering. "EMP backlash," Chen warned. "Their pulse is interfering with our own systems." Voss's jaw tightened. "Activate manual override. Maintain weapon integrity." The crew worked frantically, a symphony of urgent commands and rapid problem-solving. Far away, aboard the Zephyrian, Grand Admiral Krylos' composure cracked. The pulse had wrought devastation, but humanity's counterstrike was relentless. "Your people fight with the fury of death itself," Talar muttered to his advisor. "They embrace sacrifice without hesitation." The advisor shook her head, eyes wide with fear. "They are unlike any enemy we have faced. Their Deathworld code is a relentless tide." Talar's claws clenched, white-knuckled. "We will unleash our next weapon, the Shadow Lance. If the pulse fails, the Lance will end this war." The advisor hesitated. "It's a prototype, unstable, dangerous even to us." Talar's gaze was cold. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Back on Earth, as the battle raged, Voss received a transmission from the front lines. "Captain." Rena Solis's voice was strained. "Commander, we've secured the Council's outpost on Naxir 4, but we're taking heavy casualties. Civilians are caught in the crossfire." Voss swallowed hard. "Hold your position. Evacuate non-combatants. Use nanotech shields to minimize collateral damage." Solis's reply was grim. "Understood, but morale is breaking. Soldiers question the cost of this war." Voss's heart clenched. The Deathworld Code demanded sacrifice, but at what point? Did survival become tyranny? She glanced at a faded photograph on her desk, a daughter's smiling face, a reminder of everything at stake. "Remind them why we fight," Voss whispered. For those who cannot fight for themselves, the battle continued to spiral into chaos. Jax Harrow found himself trapped inside a crippled cruiser, surrounded by burning corridors and desperate cries. His squad had been wiped out, and every breath was a fight against despair. A sudden rumble shook the hull. The shadow lance fired, a blinding beam of dark energy that ripped through space like a predator's strike. The cruiser's bulk buckled, metal screaming in agony. Jax's vision blurred as the world tilted. "Hold on," he muttered, clutching, his rifle tighter. When the dust settled, he was alive. But the cost was clear. Bodies lay scattered like broken dolls, the faint hum of dying systems his only company. Back on the Nemesis, Voss stared at the battle map, the lines shifting like a living organism. "Every gain demands sacrifice," she murmured. Lieutenant Chen approached, her face pale. "Commander, some are asking, are we becoming the monsters the Council accused us of being?" Voss turned slowly, the weight of command etched in every line of her face. "We are what this war forced us to become," she said. "But there is still mercy in strength, and humanity in survival." She clenched her fists, eyes blazing. "The Deathworld Code isn't just about fighting, it's about enduring, and that is our greatest weapon." The war raged on, flames licking the edges of sanity and hope. Both sides were fractured, physically and psychologically, but only one force carried the unyielding fire of a death world, and that fire would burn until the galaxy remembered. The true meaning of survival, as the war's brutal toll weighs heavily on both sides, unexpected acts of mercy and humanity ripple through the conflict, shaking rigid beliefs and revealing hidden depths in allies and enemies alike. Commander Voss must navigate these fragile moments without losing sight of the deadly stakes, while the Council struggles to comprehend a force driven not only by fury, but also compassion. The battlefield lay in a muted haze, smoke curling over. The broken hulls like ghostly fingers. Somewhere far beyond the shattered debris, faint voices spoke of surrender. Commander Lena Voss stared into the flickering holoscreen, her mind a battleground between steel and empathy. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Maya Chen, approached quietly. "Commander, there's an unconfirmed transmission from a Council warship," Maya said, eyes narrowing. "They want to negotiate." Voss's breath caught. "Negotiate? After everything?" Maya nodded. "It's a distress call. But they're offering something unexpected. A ceasefire, a chance to end the bloodshed." The war room fell silent. The air was thick with disbelief and suspicion. Voss finally spoke, voice low but firm. "We are not monsters. If mercy can save lives, it must be considered. But we proceed. With caution." The transmission crackled to life, a trembling alien voice filtering through the static. "We are survivors, not conquerors. Our fleet is shattered. We seek parley, to find a path beyond this war." Eldra, once the fiery voice of the Council, now sounded broken and raw. "Our arrogance brought this ruin. Can we still find redemption?" Voss studied the image of the Council envoy. A creature ravaged by war, eyes haunted but sincere. She whispered, "Even death worlds can offer mercy." Meanwhile, in the war-torn city of New Kadesh, Captain Rena Solis led a group of medics through the rubble. The line between friend and foe blurred as wounded soldiers from both sides shared makeshift shelters and whispered stories of loss. A council. Medic, trembling, met Rena's gaze. "We fought each other, but now we share pain." Rena's eyes softened. "That pain is universal. It can be our bridge or our abyss." Back aboard the Nemesis, the war room buzzed with tension and hope. The tentative calm was shattered like glass underfoot. The peace talks on the neutral station had barely begun when a sudden explosion rocked the chamber. A hidden bomb, its shockwave ripping through walls and sending delegates scrambling. Commander. Voss, standing near the entrance, felt the heat lick her skin. "Sabotage," she barked, voice cutting through the chaos. Lieutenant Chen scrambled to secure the room, her fingers trembling as she accessed security logs. It was orchestrated by factions within the Council unwilling to surrender. The once hopeful ceasefire fractured instantly. replaced by raw fury and renewed violence. Back on the front lines, Grand Admiral Krylos issued a grim declaration. "Destroy the Deathworld invaders, or die with the galaxy," he ordered, voice cold and unwavering. The Council unleashed the Shadow Lance, a weapon of catastrophic power, its dark beam carving starships into molten ruins. Voss's fleet felt the sting. Immediately, shields failing on the Nemesis. A voice cried out, "Disperse, break formation," Voss commanded, her mind racing. Amidst the chaos, her thoughts turned inward, the faces of the fallen, the burden of command pressing heavier than ever. Captain Rena Solis fought through burning corridors on Naxia 4, rallying survivors and salvaging what could be saved. "Hold together," she shouted over the roar of collapsing metal. Her squad bore the weight of exhaustion and grief, but she pushed forward, every moment a defiant stand against oblivion. In the Nemesis war room, Voss faced her officers. "We will fight, not just with weapons, but with every ounce of will left in us," she declared. Lieutenant Chen met her gaze. "Our strength lies in our unity. The Deathworld Code is not just survival, but sacrifice for the future." Voss nodded. "Then let us be. The fire that burns away doubt and fear. For Earth, for humanity." Outside, the stars themselves seemed to tremble as the final battle loomed. The war had become a crucible of pain, hope, and relentless determination. And as the Deathworld fleets prepared to strike, the galaxy held its breath. The final battle erupts in a storm of fury and sacrifice as humanity confronts the Council's last, desperate gambit. Commander Voss leads a daring strike into the heart of enemy space, forcing both sides to face the true cost of their hatred. Amid chaos and ruin, unexpected alliances form and old beliefs shatter, setting the stage for a reckoning that will redefine survival itself. The void was a black sea shattered by fire. The Nemesis cut through the darkness, a spearhead of humanity's final resolve. Commander Voss stood at the helm, her eyes blazing beneath the dim glow of the control room. Around her, the crew moved with grim determination. Every man and woman a shard of unbreakable will. The Council's fleet surged ahead, a glittering wall of death. Their shadow lances and pulse cannons hammered at the Deathworld ships, carving streaks of plasma across the void. "Shields holding at 70%, Commander," Lieutenant Chen reported, sweat beading on her brow. "But their firepower is relentless." Voss's voice was steady, cold. "Then we match their fury, deploy nanite swarms to cripple their command vessels, target their communication arrays." Greer, tactical officer, responded instantly. "Swarms released, swarming at subspace frequencies, punching through their stealth protocols." The Council fleet faltered as the nanites gnawed at their systems, sowing confusion and panic. On the bridge of the Council flagship, Grand Admiral Krylos' many eyes darted wildly. His claws clenched the rail as alarms blared. "We are being blinded, our communication disrupted," his advisor cried. "The Deathworld Code. It's more than tactics. It's a weapon of chaos." Krylos' voice trembled with rage and fear. "Then we end this now. Full offensive. Concentrate fire on their flagship." Amid the chaos, Captain Rena Solis led a boarding party aboard a crippled Council ship. The corridors were a nightmare of smoke, flickering lights, and shattered bodies. "Stay sharp," Rena whispered through her comm. "This is no rescue mission. This is a war for survival." They encountered resistance, alien soldiers desperate and cornered, but still fighting with desperate valor. Rena's squad moved with ruthless efficiency, every shot a testament to the Deathworld Code's grim legacy. Back on the Nemesis, Voss felt the weight of command settle like lead in her chest. She knew every choice would cost lives. Every sacrifice was etched into the marrow of her bones. "Lieutenant Chen," she said quietly, "prepare the final strike sequence. If this fails, we lose everything." Chen's fingers danced over the controls, voice steady despite the gravity. "Ready when you are, Commander." The Deathworld fleet converged, nanite swarms disabling the Council's flagship systems. Voss gave the order, "Fire the pulse disruptor." A brilliant wave of energy rippled out, shattering shields and sending the Council flagship into chaos. Talar's defiant roar was cut short as the ship's systems failed one by one. Silence fell over the battlefield. The Council's fleet faltered, breaking ranks in disarray. Voss allowed herself a moment, a breath heavy with loss and hope. "This war is not over," she whispered. "But we have shown the galaxy the strength of the Deathworld code." Outside, distant stars burned brighter, witness to the sacrifice and fury that had reshaped the cosmos. In the silence, a single truth remained. Humanity's fire would not be extinguished. The war's final moments reveal the true cost of survival as both sides grapple with loss, hope, and the fragile promise of peace. Commander Voss faces the ultimate choice between vengeance and mercy, setting a new course for humanity and the galaxy. In the ashes of destruction, a new dawn rises, one forged not just by fire, but by understanding. The void hung heavy with silence, thick and suffocating after the storm of war. The Council flagship, crippled and drifting, was a tomb adrift among scattered wreckage. Its once proud hull now scarred by the fury of the Deathworld fleets. Commander Lena Voss stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, eyes weary but unyielding. Around her, the crew tended to the wounded, their faces etched with exhaustion. "And Zorro, status report," Voss commanded softly. Lieutenant Chen stepped forward, voice steady yet laden with fatigue. "Council fleet shattered. Most command vessels incapacitated. Survivors requesting immediate ceasefire." Voss exhaled slowly. The moment she'd fought for, dreamed of, was here. But victory tasted bitter. In the shadowed corridors of the Nemesis, Captain Rena Solis walked among the injured. She knelt beside a Council medic, a young alien with trembling hands, tending a wounded human soldier. The medic looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. "Why do you help us?" Rena's voice was steady, full of quiet resolve. "Because even in war, we are not monsters." The Council envoy was brought before Voss in the command chamber. Eldra's eyes, once sharp with arrogance, now reflected a deep, haunting sorrow. "You have broken us," Eldra whispered, "but you have also shown us mercy." Voss met that gaze with a flicker of understanding. Mercy is not weakness. It is the bond that will shape what comes next. Grand Admiral Talar, defeated but alive, faced Voss's words. "You could have destroyed us all," he said, voice rough. "Why spare us?" "Because true strength," Voss replied, "is measured not by how many we kill, but by how many we choose to save." Outside, the stars began to brighten as if in response. A new dawn crept over the horizon of a shattered galaxy. The war had ended, but the work of healing had just begun. Voss turned to her crew, voice carrying the weight of generations. "We are not just survivors. We are architects of the future." Her eyes caught the rising sun piercing through the viewport, a symbol of hope born from ashes. The Deathworld Code demands sacrifice, but it also demands mercy. Today, we choose to be more. The galaxy would remember the fire of Earth, not as a weapon of destruction, but as the spark of a new beginning, and from the ashes of war, humanity's legend would rise, unbroken, unyielding, and forever blazing. End of story.